You guys having fun? I'm Margaret Ingebretson, and I'm running for Congress for the 7th Congressional District seat. I'm running against Sean Duffy, the current holder of that seat. So let me tell you a little bit about how I got to be standing before you today. It was 1991. And I decided to enlist in the U.S. Navy. I was a lesbian, but my love of country and my feeling of patriotism trumped everything else. So I enlisted, and I went active duty for 3 years. Now, many of you might know this, that was before Don't Ask, Don't Tell. It was not the best time to be gay or lesbian in the military. Then in 1993, we had the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy came along, and a lot of folks were like, hey, that's great. You just don't have to tell anybody, and they won't put undercover agents in your commands and try to get you out on a dishonorable discharge anymore. Phew. Well, living through that, it wasn't so great. And I'm sure a lot of you can understand how isolating that was. Because when people are in the shop talking about a barbecue they're going to have with their family and friends, and they're having conversations about their children and their families, you learn never to go in those conversations and ask them about their families and their personal lives, because, of course, people always ask you back. So serving like that for 18 years, I served 24 years total. In 2011, they repealed the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy. And at that time, I was in the Minnesota Air National Guard, and I was working as a videographer at that time, and very close with the people in my shop. And the news came out, and I said, oh, by the way, I'm a lesbian. And they just laughed. You know, of course they knew. But there was this invisible barrier, not only in the military workplace, but also in my life out in the civilian world. Because had I told someone that I met that had decided to grind an axe with me or didn't like me, all they had to do was call the Department of Defense and cause trouble. Now, there are thousands of LGBT people who have served in the military since the beginning of time. We all know that. And we deserve the dignity to serve openly and be treated equally. Currently, transgender troops are also under attack. They want to not allow transgender troops to enlist in the first place, and if you're already there, boy, you better keep it to yourself, because we don't want to know. Now, that's wrong. So, once I got off of active duty, much like other veterans, I went into the civilian workforce. I hired on with the Burlington Northern Railroad. I was a locomotive electrician, union, train dispatcher, union, and then I used my GI Bill and I put myself through college at the University of Wisconsin in Superior, got a degree in history, a minor in business, and then I worked some more like regular folks, saved up some money. I was a corrections officer for a time, of all things, and then I went to law school in Madison at UW Law. I opened up a private law practice in Balsam Lake, town of 1,000 folks, on the western border near Minnesota, and I focused a lot of my legal work on guardian ad litem work, which are licensed attorneys that advocate for the best interest of children and disabled adults. And living in rural Wisconsin is different, you know? We have had representation in Washington that does not seem to take into account the reality of our lives, our needs, our wants, and there is a disconnect there that must be rectified. Now, it is important, I think, that folks who have the ability, the skills, the wherewithal, at this time, at this moment in American history, when we have these noxious, prejudiced views emanating from Washington and from other elected officials, that I know right now it's hard, and a lot of us are frightened because we either feel it or we know someone who feels it. But right now, even if you're scared, if you can do it and you can do it safely, it's incumbent on us to step forward and do the right thing at this time. So I never planned on running for Congress. This was not in my designs. The 2016 election happened, and I felt that overwhelming sense of patriotism and duty once again call me. But it was more powerful than it had ever been in my entire life. So I joined the Democratic Party, and I was going to help folks get elected to office. And then it occurred to me that I would be the best bet to run against Sean Duffy in this district at this time. So I would love to have your support. There's an August 14th primary. There's one other Democratic candidate running. And we're both Democrats, but we're very different candidates. So if I am your choice, now is the time. You got to get behind your candidates now. Congress, Assembly, State Senate, help that candidate. Because there are so many great candidates coming forward who are doing this out of a sense of duty and obligation to their country, which is what we need right now. Because we are going in the wrong direction, folks, and I know I'm preaching to the choir. So I would love your support, and thank you so much for your time today.